books, t-shirts, and past event videos, check out his website at zenbitchslap.com. Let's see here. We're going to read today on fear. And the page is 67. And it's the last paragraph. And I'll take it. Here we go, Paul. Ready? Notice that the word fear is bracketed alongside the difficulties with Mr. Brown, Miss Jones, the employer, and his wife. This short word somehow touches every aspect of our lives. It was the evil and corroding thread. The fabric of our existence was shot through with it. It set in motion trains of circumstances which brought us misfortune we felt we didn't deserve. But did we not ourselves set the ball rolling? Sometimes we think fear ought to be classed with stealing. Seems to cause more trouble. We reviewed our fears thoroughly. We put them on paper, even though we had no resentment in connection with them. We ask ourselves why we had them. Wasn't it because self-reliance failed us? Self-reliance was good as far as it went, but it didn't go far enough. Some of us once had great self-confidence, but it didn't fully solve the fear problem or any other. When it made us cocky, it was worse. So that's our reading. What do you think, Paul?
Just read the next paragraph.
All right, here we go. Perhaps there's a better way. We think so, for we are not now on a different basis, the basis of trusting and relying upon God. We trust infinite God rather than our finite selves. We are in the world to play the role he assigns. Just to the extent that we do as we think he would have us and humbly rely on him, does he enable us to match calamity with serenity? Very good?
Yes, thank you.
Sure.
Hey everyone, Paul, alcoholic. I'm happy to be here. If there's anybody new, hello. This idea, first of all, let's say there's basic fears in everybody as we find ourselves to be, this feeling of being a person with needs and wants and conditions so that our condition can be okay. Those fears are a platform, I feel, the mental state uses to produce anxiety. Yeah, I don't think what's driving you crazy is a fear. I think what's driving us crazy is mental anxiety that finds, let's say, relevance because there's a fear in us that we may not get what we want or need, or we may lose what we need and want. Yes? So that fear opens up a possibility that the mental state takes wholeheartedly, and then it produces a lot of thinking and concern about topics set on that platform of fear that I could or could not be taken care of. And then it goes to town. Yeah. And then there's a trust or a faith in the mental state called self. And then those thoughts now have power to really kill us in a way. Yeah. So I'm not changing what it's saying. The way I see it has changed over the years. Yeah. So I don't believe, yes, the fear is the starting point. If we were not of a body and we're not of conditions that we take ourselves to be in, there wouldn't be any fear, so to speak. But because we're in a very fragile condition, you can get a cold like that or something can happen, that there's a possibility that gives to the mental state to obsess, yeah, to obsess over it, to the point where the fear becomes completely secondary, because you may have a lot of money, yet you still feel you don't have enough. So the mental anxiety grows on that fear that we all seem to have. It comes with the, it comes with the territory, because I have needs that need to be met by outside conditions, yeah? Let's say I need to be loved, or I need to feel connected, or I need to have a purpose, all these levels, yeah. And then the fear of obviously food, shelter, and clothing, and being taken care of, material security. But I don't really feel the fear is the active disturbance. It's mental anxiety based on those fearful possibilities, let's say, yeah. And so the whole program is about relying on something that will assure you of those basic fears that they're going to be taken care of because it's the new employer. Being all powerful, it's going to take care of us if we stay close to it, which we can't be far from it really, and do its works well. So it's a simple agreement. And then in that agreement, based on demonstration and evidence, you should have rushed right past coming to believe, and now you have faith that you're taken care of, which neutralizes that fear as a platform for the mental anxiety. Yeah. So now maybe instead of being completely moved by the mental anxiety, you see it as something that you're not, and you can bring it to step 6 and 7 and have that mental anxiety about these fearful possibilities reconfigured. Yes. So when it gets to that point, perhaps there's a better way. The trust in infinite and trust in finite may be the same, but how that trust looks is different. Yeah. The faith in the finite self is an incredible belief in all the false evidence appearing real. Yeah. It's we're strongly, it's sort of having a bit in our mouth, a mental bit, and then the thoughts just pull us here and there. Yeah. And we're seemingly constantly fighting off the effects of the believability of thoughts and projections. Yeah. The trust in the infinite doesn't have that much activity around in it. Yeah. It produces a certain ease and comfort and an assurance that doesn't beget agitation in a way. So you can enjoy peace of mind. Yeah. So the trust in one produces different effects than the trust in the other. Completely, I feel, from experience. Yeah. So the trust in the self it goes a long way. It's a lot of advertising, yeah, and a lot of repetition and a lot of obsession to just keep pounding away at its unbelievability until we fucking take it to be so. Yeah. The trust in the infinite is completely different. It's much more expansive, and there's really it's more of a disarming effect of the trust than a call to arms, really. Yeah. You'll have a feeling of what you need to do instead of having a need to do something at all times. Yeah. You'll have an intuition about what you need to do instead of a slavery. I have to do everything shit all the time. Yeah, you see? There are different ways of travel. Yeah. And they're based really on the fundamental. That's why it says perhaps there's a better way. We can drop the perhaps and just say there's a better way, which is the trusting the infinite rather than the finite. Yeah. So we play a pivotal role, obviously, because we believe there's something called the finite self, and let's say hope, and we have hope or belief that there's the infinite. It's how we lean. Yeah. Are we leaning into the infinite, or are we leaning into the self? You can't lean into the infinite relying on self. That would be more leaning into self, in a sense, yeah? This is a common mistake that a lot of us have experiences with. It culminated with the statement, self can't get out of self, through observation, yeah? Because we saw that my great faith in a God of my own understanding was actually a faith in self, you know, more than the God. Because who would want to define a God? I'd rather just be in the I don't know and have it revelatory. You know, it just seems it's got a lot more expansiveness than I do. Like, it may go beyond getting a parking space near the meeting and maybe a date and stuff. And maybe it'll be like, you know, I'll comprehend serenity and I'll know peace. That's That's a whole different market you're in, so to speak. Yeah, I feel. So, um, yeah, trusting the finite self. How do you can say it, but how you need to see it, really. I mean, if you say it, you may be saying it while you're in it. You need to see it before saying anything about it, really. Seeing is the awareness. I'm not talking about eyes. An awareness of it. Instead of having your awareness captured by it, you have an awareness of that. Yeah. That's the freedom from the bondage of self. And when you have a sense of that and have a lot of demonstration of it, you realize that's basically the true condition. The true condition is that you're bonded by self with the hopes of getting relief. Your true condition is there's been no bonding to self. You're not that. The whole way we're bonded to self is the identification as self. Yeah. Yes? So that demands a desire to get out of that bondage, but we try to get out of the bondage as the seeming bondage, so it doesn't really go anywhere. Yeah, things go get better, and that's great, really. But ultimately, the freedom we're speaking of here is before the bondage. You know, that there's an inherent condition that hasn't changed, no matter how many other conditions change and go this way and that way. There's an inherent condition. Let's define it with a word: spiritual. Yeah. So there's a condition that's not of body, you know, that doesn't grow more hair or less hair. Does it, you know, has a wound on the left side, has goiter, has, you know, indigestion. No, those are all bodily experiences. It's not of the body. Yeah. And its own nature is of awareness, let's say. So I believe that's our condition. Now we've come into this experience with added on conditions. And the mental state has gotten very, very concerned with those conditions. And in that concern has been in an active denial of our own condition, our real condition. It takes us to be a mental condition trapped in a body, basically. Yeah, it does. It'd like to get out, but it has no other vehicle, so it fucking puts up with it. But then it critiques it mercilessly, you know, whatever, for the rest of your life. So it really, there's a hating of it, really. There is. There's a hating of the body from self. So, yeah. So let's be clear. Is it fear that's bothering you today, or is it mental anxiety? Yeah, because if you look at your basic fears, they've probably been met today. You have food, clothing, shelter. You have a sense of belonging, even in this Zoom right now. So a lot of the things have been met. Why is there so much irritability, restlessness, discontent? It's really not coming from fear. It's mental activity. Yeah. Yeah. So how can that be paramount? Well, we must be obsessed with self. Yeah. What's the antidote? Losing interest in self. Can self do that? No. All right. What's the avenue? Surrender, maybe. Yeah. Let a higher power bring about an effect that you can't bring about. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that sudden realization over and over again that something basically at all times is doing for you what you can't do for yourself. Really. Yeah. I couldn't live a day at a time sober. I needed to change how I felt. It was unbearable, really. Yeah, it was. I tried to sleep as long as I could because I didn't really want to be under that spotlight of fucking excessive concern and all day. I wanted relief, and drinking and drugs. Obviously, drinking worked, and then drugs were quicker with more whack. So I went with drugs. Yeah, but basically, not knowing there was a way out by realizing I wasn't in, not knowing that, I wanted to get out of it. And even if it was super temporary, followed by a lot of bad consequences, I was obviously willing to pay. Yeah. I mean, so what's changed? The basis of my life has changed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
program of AA has changed the basis of my life to leaning to the trusting the infinite rather than finite self. That's basically, if you wanted to paint the movement of all of us, I would say you could catch it in that statement. Yeah. So, yeah, fear is a valid condition. It provokes us to take care of certain things. Yeah. The mental anxiety has nothing to has no interest in negating the fear. Fear is its diving board. It needs that diving board to get into that mental pool. So it needs those conditions that there's concern about to really amplify. Yeah, and that's the mental state. If they say the activity of this illness is obsession with self, it's looking for things to obsess over. And what better opportunity is the fears of, are you going to be taken care of or not? And then to amplify them into wants with the same effect that a need would have. Yeah. It's like a 5-alarm fire because you don't know if you're going to buy your fourth house. You know, it seems to be a little bit abusive because you've got tons of shelter. Yeah. But still, it provokes the same anxiety. Yeah. Even though the fear had been met, even though the agenda had been met, it doesn't care. It riffs and riffs and riffs. Yeah. Someone says, as soon as I get $1 million, everything will be cool. It doesn't. It isn't, because we're not aware of being fed on by something. A parasitical movement is feeding on us. Yeah. We have little sensitive areas, and it amplifies those areas to grow on. Yeah. To feast on. Yeah. And if they're addressed and answered in this life, it doesn't care. It will still obsess over it, no matter what. Yeah, because it's not success it's looking for. It's consuming. Yeah, this obsession with self becomes self-consuming. It's just unbelievable. It's doing its thing for its thing, basically. It's not here to really succeed, except in that condition. So you're fed on, really. Yeah, you're used for transportation. And then when there's some whipping needed, you're the one who gets whipped. Yeah. Yeah. Not to get you into a better condition, just for the sake of whipping, really. It just wants to get its yayas out in a strange way. So, yeah, thank God there's a solution. And thank God we're not relying on it as the solution. I hope, anyway. That's my fervent hope. If you give the solution to the problem, it's going to make it a problem for sure. That's what it does. Yeah. It never admits its inadequacies. It just will neuter the message. Yeah. To fit its own little storyline. I'm sober, but I probably won't be. You know what I mean? This is a minor little lag in the story. Don't worry, I'll be back to no good in a few weeks, whatever. All right, so something happened to some of us. It got stumped for 33 years. It thought every day, by next week, I'll have that chair back. No, it's been put in the mailroom. Opening fucking nonsensical messages of false evidence. So, yeah. All right. Thank you. Thanks for coming today. Yeah. All right, Kurt. I'm done. Can you hear me? Yeah, good. I can't hear you.
Cat.
All right, there you go.
There you go.
Dave
muted me, Paul.
No, I didn't.
So that was good. I like what you said about, there's a part in the amends where they say we must lose our fear of creditors. Doesn't say we must lose our creditors. You know, when I went out at 19 years, I created a lot of financial damage. But as soon as I was willing and started making amends, the fear of creditors left. It wasn't that I needed to accomplish. It took me 6 years to make financial amends. But I got free in the willingness to make the amends and the action to start taking it. I knew it was going to take a long time, but the fear dropped.
Yeah.
You're right. So if you guys got a question, this is your chance. In regards to fear, anybody got their hands up? Let me see here. Hey, yeah, we got one hand up. Jason W.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Thanks for everybody for being here. This is a wonderful topic. And Paul, I was wondering if you could go a little bit more into on that same last paragraph. It says here, we are in the world to play the role he assigns, just to the extent that we do as we think he would have us and humbly rely on him, does he enable us to match calamity with serenity. And one time I was reading through this, and I was really struck that I had misread the book, as is often the case. I thought that it said, just to the extent that we do what he thinks he would have us. And it doesn't say that. Yeah. And it says, as we would think we would have him, which I think is more along the lines of living along spiritual principles, you know, patience, love, tolerance, those things. But I'd love to hear your commentary on that and your experience with that. Thanks.
Yeah, well, again, that paragraph starts with a better way first. We think so. So let's get clear, because if we're not clear about trusting the infinite rather than the finite self, we'll be unclear about what comes after it, really. Yeah, because now you'll probably be judging what you think he would have us do.
Playing God again. Yeah.
You won't be sort of going along with the principles as the overriding of your judging how he would have us do. Yes? So that principle life is rooted in trusting the infinite rather than finite self. So first things first, get clear about that, I feel. Yeah? And then these things have a new meaning, and it becomes obvious. Who am I to say if I'm not, doing thinking as he wants me to do, whatever? That's I'm in the habit of sort of being sober. Those principles that were introduced, I took it like a lifeline, really, because I saw the first few months, basically, maybe I had 5 basic strategies concerning my whole life. They were completely ass backwards, completely. So I needed a whole undoing of the old crazy principles and have them replaced with new principles. Yeah, which is what living the program, did. It changed that basis of life, and it was rooted in the trusting the infinite rather than finite self. I may have had a lot of ideas about God and everything, but primarily my whole day was based on trusting finite self. I was listening to the head completely. Yeah. I was listening to how it saw me, how it saw you, how it saw this, how it saw time, how da. And basically I was a fucking pretty faithful foot soldier. Yeah. I would just follow that fucking crazy trumpet and go to great lengths, so to speak. Yeah. So then when that gets clear, so then you see that you're in the world to play the role this power assigns. Yeah, I call it a seed assignment. Yeah, you see that. You come to an observation of that. You're not trying to set it up. You find out that's what's happened. Yeah. Yeah. So I call it a seed assignment. So we all have seed assignments, and I feel that assignment wasn't given by me, but it was given to me, so to speak. Yes? Yeah. So so I see this. We are in the world to play the role he assigns. I'm clear on that. Just to the extent that we do as we think he would have us. So hopefully our thought system has been affected by this time with the suggestions and principles of AA, like you said. Yeah. So my thoughts aren't leading me. The principles are leading me, really. He would have us and humbly rely on him. Does he enable us to match calamity with serenity? Basically, that's all springing out of the better way, which is trusting the infinite. This is what happens. Yeah. And so what's the point? It's simple. I'll try to stop trusting the self, and I'll start trusting the infinite. Maybe, just maybe, you don't see what may be happening there. You're identified as self, and now you're trying to get out of self as self through trusting the infinite. You see?
Mhm.
That's the bondage of self. The bondage of self is something we don't know. That's how it's working. So we believe, all right, I'm going to stop trusting self, which is an incredible trusting self because you're taken to be that. And now I'm going to trust the infinite, all based on you. Yeah. You that may actually, AKA, be self. Yeah. Be actually the representation of selfing, but let's say call it self. So that's what we're sharing here as a member of the community. Yeah. That's why we have a looming statement that's not in the book, but it came from a lot of people who read the book and followed the suggestions and everything like that. And that was an observation. Self can't get out of self. Yeah? So you, while you're praying to a God of your own making, may be praying through this idea of self. Yes? Which is going to further the bondage of self, not bring relief. Yeah, because you're looking for relief as the self instead of from the self. It's very dynamically basic. Yeah, either we're taking ourselves to be that, or now we have another possibility that it's like a foreign agent. It changes everything. I swear, and it gives new meaning to the book. So that whole paragraph does not get lit up by we are in the world to play the role he assigns. It gets lit up by the perhaps there's a better way. That's what allows all that to occur. Yeah?
Mm.
Which is, what am I, and see, this basis of trusting and relying upon God or trusting and relying upon self is an ongoing moment to moment event. It's not like 1995. I trusted self, and no, it's an activity that's happening now. You're either leaning out of it or you're leaning in it. Just that way. So let's tell the truth and see what happens. Yeah? Tell the truth, not about me, but about self. Yes, please. If it's you, if it's you, you're gonna try to be free as it. And through it and for it and with it and by it. You are. If you see that it's not you, the true possibility of being free from it becomes available. That's exactly how it happened with me. Exactly. I saw that sentence, being convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. I'd read that sentence thousands of times. I saw it, and the word self triggered an image of something foreign. And as soon as I got that it was foreign, the possibility of being free from it became available. And then the Spirit informed me by scanning years and years of my life that I had been trying to be free as self most of my life. Yeah, it was a mistake. And perhaps there was the better way, which is trusting the infinite, yeah, instead of finite self. And I was shown so deeply the trusting finite self. I saw it. I saw it, and it changed how I've been living ever since. Yeah. So I'm hoping that's what gets through. All the other stuff is great, but everything, you may think it's because you looked at that apple every day that made it so good, but it's actually the root. Yeah. The soil and the nutrient that that tree was extracting gave the beauty of the apple to the apple. Yeah. So let's be clear about the root, and then you'll know the tree by its fruits. Yeah, things will be. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my view.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
I
Yeah.
attempt to stay pretty much on point because I don't think I see no point to get lost in the shrubbery. Really, I just want to. Not saying we're doing that now. I'm saying just using this platform to present the fundamental aspect of this shift of perhaps there's a better way. The better way is gonna look so many ways to you, and it's gonna demonstrate itself, and you're gonna become intimate with that unseen hand in your life. You're gonna feel like these people in AA here said, you were kissed on the cheek by the spirit. Yeah, you're gonna sense that. Yeah, you're gonna sense something that you can't rub up against, you can't grab, you can't see, you can't hear, yet it becomes the most intimate of companions in this life. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So,
Oh,
yep. Thank you, bro. Yes.
cool. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that.
Any other questions? Any other hands? David. We got David here. Oh, you're muted, David.
Okay, cool. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, hi everybody, and hi Paul. I just wanted to kind of ask for a clarification, so this surrender, this better way, as opposed to, self trying to get out of self, seems almost like a catch-22 outside of some moment or form of grace. And I was wondering if you could talk a bit more about, like, how can one avoid, surrender as simply a strategy coming from self trying to get out of self? Because it seems like any strategy is more selfing. And I'm just wondering, like, then is true surrender just the realization that any effort is kind of like a Chinese finger trap? Is the true surrender like just a posture of openness, or could you speak a little bit more about that as opposed to that self trying to get out of self?
Well, yes. Well, I didn't really know what surrender is because there's no thing called surrender. It's an event that people go through, and we give it a loose term, surrender. But basically, it was like coming up against the fact of the futility of what I was relying on. Yeah. The self-centered system is a failed system. And really seeing the emperor with no clothes, without all the fucking rationales and denial, just like that's how it happened with me. All the little minute maneuverings, all the little runnings just stopped, and I realized I'm not managerial quality, and I'm fucked completely.
Mm-hmm.
And something was brought into the consciousness that I am, was brought into it that I had no idea of. I may have had many ideas of what surrender was, but that which I had no idea of is what I call surrender now. So something happened of realizing the futility of reliance on self. Therefore, I can live a life of surrender now because I see the mental attempt of relying on self all day. Yeah, and the futility of that. So there's the surrender that was a sudden very flash-like recognition has taken another meaning, which is surrendered. Yeah. So surrendered to the basic principles of my prior condition, and now the principles I live by. Yeah. So, and sometimes we get too much intellectual. Fucking just surrender if that's what you think. Don't worry if it's by your head or not. Just freaking, because that which you surrender to has more influence than you're surrendering. So just fucking, yeah. It doesn't matter if you got the right clothes when you open the door and let it in, or you should have finished your makeup or combed your hair. Just fucking open the door. This reliance on self is like, oh, am I using surrender for strategy? That which is speaking at that moment is definitely doing that. That's what the mental state does. It uses whatever it comes in contact with and tries to get an advantage with it. So don't be surprised. Just realize you're not of that, and that which you are overrides it. Yeah. So whatever it's saying, oh, I'm phony while I'm surrendering, just bypass that and surrender. Yeah. Don't worry about that thing that says has a lot of opinions of surrender. Cannot surrender. That's not it doesn't have that quality. Yeah. It can be imprisoned. It may tolerate something, it may make a strategy, like you said, but no, it doesn't. Something in us, that unsuspecting inner resource, the innermost, what we are, sees what we're not. And you see the failedness of that. Yeah. And so maybe you don't have to go through 800,000 more examples of it. You see it and you realize it's a failed system. To me, that's surrendered. Yeah. Yeah.
Can I ask you for one more clarification about that?
Yeah.
So when you talk about surrender in terms of recognizing sort of the powerlessness or the defeatedness of that condition, and I've gone through that experience before, but I've also gone back out and re-experienced those choices and those consequences. Is that sort of synonymous in your mind with seeing the verbness of selfing, or the futility or unreality of self, or are you holding those as is there a distinction between those two to you?
Well, to me, there's a little distinction, but it's not that important. The selfing is completely mechanical.
Mm-hmm.
The reliance is more the audience, us, responding to the selfing. Yeah, that's a little different in my field. So the selfing is mechanical. The head just does it. That's what it does. Everything, the way it sees us is that we're a body. The way it sees us is this and this, that, and it just keeps seeing it. It keeps seeing us that way. It's no problem if you're not that. But the relying on it is more, has a sense of a cherishing, like they say in Buddhism, a cherishing of self. There's a reliance on it against all evidence, really. Almost as if you're sorry to see it go, because there's an identification as it. That has a little different flavor, yeah. That's what a surrender is. You can intellectually understand selfing, but a surrender is when you see through the gauze of affection and cherishing of a failedness, yeah. The grief of being mistaken, all that shit. That's a surrender. Yeah. Yes?
Yeah.
Failed. It's not saying you failed, it's failed. Yeah. You're neutral. You're the one that gives meaning to failing and succeeding. But it's failed. It says it right before what we're talking of. It says Bill W.'s writing about fear, and it presents it. Why are you in so much fear today? Yes. Isn't it because self-reliance has failed us? There you go. So the topic we're speaking about isn't really the topic. It's an effect of the topic, which is self-reliance, really. If you want to get out of fear, you don't get out of fear. You get out of self-reliance. How do you get out of self-reliance? In my experience, was seeing the complete futility of relying on it. I mean, complete. I was devastated in a nanosecond. Yeah. It was, it had been propping itself up with a lot of false hope and denying and rationalization and huffing and puffing its way to the finish line, and something pulled the plug. Yeah. And it was okay to be totally fucked. It was okay to be an asshole. It was okay to be all the qualities that it wanted to use to motor away from, you know, just to have it all catch up. And I would never have brought that about. Something did. My whole life was about avoiding that fact, really. So something overrode it and showed me my spinning image. So yeah, surrender, and I mean, the selfing is mechanical, but the flavor that it's given is through us. Yeah, yeah. The mental state believes it's made something up that's better than what we are, really. And it just keeps presenting, this is the end all be all, you, and it's not really. Yeah, and a lot of people, you know, it's the system itself doesn't want to come to Judgment Day, so it talks to us as us to try to avoid this moment of true, you know, recognition of the emperor having no clothes. Of course, it's the first one that rushes to the emperor with a towel and puts it over. Yeah, that's what it. So yeah, so I feel, yeah, there's. I wouldn't make a big thing about any distinction. I would just start with the basic. We're trying to corral a lot of the particulars of the mental process by corralling them all into selfing. Yeah, it's just easier instead of having to go through each heifer in the mental farm. There's cows. Yeah, there's cowing. So yeah.
And you know, sometimes, and is it no? I mean, sometimes there seems to be a clear seeing of that, and other times there's again identification. I mean, is that oscillation? Is that just kind of natural and normal?
That doesn't have to have any lasting effect.
Okay.
You can see before that, yeah. There's a seeing before it that sees both of those things. It's not before it, but it's, let's say it's while you have this lens and aperture closing, there's an opening that never gets closed by the aperture closing on this other lens. Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
The mental lens keeps going in and out, but the spirit lens is wide open. Yes. Sometimes we're attending to the mental lens, yeah, but there's always a great reliance on the spiritual lens. Yeah, yeah.
It's very helpful. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah. So find, you know, basis is a pretty fundamental word. Yeah. Basis is, you know, what things are based on, obviously. So we like to get down to that exact nature. Yeah. And perhaps there's a better way, is a shift of basis, really. You know, trusting the infinite rather than finite self. I figure it would be helpful to really be able to understand and recognize trusting finite self. I mean, I think it's not a throwaway sentence. It's meant to be observational. Yeah, like, yeah, all right, give me an idea. How does that look? Yeah, well, faith in the thoughts. Yeah. Well, how is that? How can I know there's faith in the thoughts? You're calling them yours. That thought that has my before it has been given a whole lot of faith right then and there. Yeah. All right. Well, now maybe I can see it now. That's what I hope. Yeah. The Zoom isn't the end all be all. The movie you're in will show you everything that we say here. Yeah. That's the whole point. It's like, what is understanding? It's like giving eyes to see. Yeah. Is it a replacement for the seeing? No, but it's a help. It may allow you to see things differently than you used to see them. Yeah. And more may be revealed if you see certain things differently. So, what a huge difference to see thoughts as thoughts other than mine. It's a huge difference. Yeah. And that's very close to the basis of the situation. So when there's a change there, it reverberates. Yeah. The 50th mutation reverberating probably doesn't affect the basis one bit. Yeah. But the basis reverberating affects that. Yeah. So where can the most, let's say, help occur? Yeah, if it's like a 5-alarm fire, tell them where the pails of water are. But when you have some time, get down to the basics. Yeah. When they change, all your freaking, attendance at fire starting may diminish. Yeah. You won't even have to know so much about fire starting. You won't be going there much. Yes. Yeah. So there's a fundamental thing AA is about. It just said there. Perhaps there's a better way. It doesn't have 800 window dressings. It says 2 movements. It doesn't. It's movement. It says trusting finite self. It's not trust in finite self, as someone was getting specific about words. Trusting, I think it says, finite self. That's an activity, yes? Trust in finite self would be something else, but it's talking about the actual activity. There's a trusting in finite self. And hopefully for all of us, there's a trusting in the infinite, not a trust in the infinite. Trusting. It's a verb, yeah? Verb. Hopefully we're in the verb of trusting the infinite instead of listening with great faith to the verb of trusting the finite. Yeah. What is the verb of trusting the finite? Selfing. Yeah. That's what it is. The self, the thought system thinks of us primarily as a body. It does. Yeah. That's what the memory has us fixed as a body. Yeah. What we're worrying about and who we're worrying about in the future is the body, basically. Yeah. So we've relied on all that information. Its whole programming is based on we're a body, and how did it work? Not that well. Do you want to keep the basis in place and yet try to change everything else? You want to still keep being a body? Yeah. Yeah, so let's change, Of course the head is taking itself to be the body, but am I taking myself to be the body? That's suspect. Yeah. I'm used to thinking when the head's taking myself to be the body, I'm doing it, but now I'm in a different position. I don't see it that way. I see the head constantly pontificating that it's a body, but I'm not that. Yeah. I don't know what I am, but I can recognize what I'm not. Yeah. Because being doesn't feel like it comes about through a lot of work. It doesn't, to me. It just feels like it's readily available right now. There's just a misidentification with it. The head said something, and I completely believe I'm the one who did that. Yeah? Yeah. Well.
Well
All
said.
right.
Well said.
Thank
Great,
you.
great question, David. Thanks. Anybody else? Have we got anybody else? Let's see. I don't see any hands.
Come on, you mofos.
Come on, you. Yep. I heard it said like this one time, Paul, that to live fearlessly is not to overcome fear. It's to come to know its true nature. And I think that's kind of what the book's saying, right?
Yes.
To live fearlessly is not to overcome fear. That's what the narrative tells you. But the real freedom from that is to know its true nature, which is what you said. self-reliance, right?
There's fear in the body brain programming has an essential quality of fear because we're not self-contained and self-maintained. We need food, we need this, we need subtle things, maybe like love and companionship. And there's no stores that are selling it. You can't go and just buy it at a store. So there's a lot, and then we're in a strange event called time, where no matter what condition we're in now, we may not be in later. So it's just right to activate mental obsession, yeah? When the mental obsession thinks it's the boss and is the manager of this life, its reaction is really going to be anxiousness, yeah? Because it knows it can't deliver the goods, first of all. So basically, it's immediately above its pay scale, and it just fakes it, you know, and then keeps blaming us or whatever. Yeah, it's crazy. So,
That's great.
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, so I truly believe most people, they just mistake mental anxiety for fear. I don't see it. I don't see fear is a part of our programming, a deep one. Yeah, it has some validity to it. When I saw that shark in the water, there was fear kicked in, and then a lot of adrenaline got released. It still wouldn't have helped me if the shark wanted to eat me because I can't move that fast in the water. But basically, it was a perfect recognition response system. Yeah, that's fear. Yeah, anxiety is something completely different. But it has to, it lives on the platform of fear. Yeah. So, yeah. So we believe if I just got all my fears removed, there'd be no mental anxiety. No, that's not true. You think $1 million will do it, then it'll change the thing, and oh, it's got to be 2 million, or yeah, on and on and on. It's just relentless. So
We got another question from Dale. Dale O.
Dale,
Yeah, thanks for being here. It's a wonderful morning. I'm thinking the fear keeps me in denial and suffering, and acceptance helps me. And when I was listening to you talk, I was also knitting on this thing here. And some of the yarn is like a spider web. And I've been trying to work on it for like 3 weeks and not able to do it. So when I was listening to you and talking about going to fear into acceptance, I just cut it. I cut this yarn right off and I made it into a nice little ball. So I'll be able to move forward onto my knitting. And I really like when you said that word serenergy. I think it was like surrender and energy. So after I cut that little yarn, I felt like a lot of energy. So thank you so much for my freedom from my head. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like to use the term reconfigured in step 6 and 7, because I believe obviously energy can't be created nor destroyed, but it takes a lot of appearances. And a lot of those appearances have been drawn by the mental condition. And it's time for a rearranging and a new illustration in our little life book. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So that energy can be reconfigured and be allow us to be a maximum use to ourselves and others instead of completely concaved in this obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rearrange. Good word. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. We got Walter. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Walter.
Let's get him to unmute here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
we
there.
got you. We got you.
You still want more questions?
Yeah, more questions. Go ahead, Walter.
Okay. Yeah, you know what amazes me, Paul? Good evening, by the way. Where is Paul? Gather with you. Yeah, there, I've got you. Yeah, what amazes me from I did a lot of counter fear stuff in my life. I mean, that I survived it is quite amazing. I see the ridiculousity of how whole society functioned, and indeed on an anxiety. Uh, Here in Holland, is this one specific thing, you know, the worry, the anxiety, trying to control everything. I see it crystal clear, but it's very difficult to get out of it. You know, I see it in myself. You know, it's very difficult to get out of.
Well, maybe realize, or at least entertain, you may not be in it. So if you don't move, it may seemingly change.
Yeah, indeed. When I just see
That was one of the final things, Walter, for me, was it wasn't that I got relieved of the bondage of self. I saw there was a freedom before it. Yeah. And I would say that's more of our nature and more real now than any of the other stuff that comes and goes. Yeah. So I humbly feel I can have crystal clear clarity of fear, but that which wants to get out of it isn't me. Yeah. It's the head that just wants to stir it up. Yeah. How best to stir up, or how best to reinforce an imaginary place than to try to get out of it. You're just giving it a reality. Yeah. Aren't you? Yes.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
this is how I
I mean, I also I did wrote. Sometimes I write down things, poetry, you know, whatever, and I'm going through it, and then I see again, you know, coming back from a traveling trip, a mountain hike or something, trying to get out of it, and coming back frustrated, you know, because seeing I didn't get out of it, you know, I just got another story, nothing else, or indeed another meditation trip, you know.
Well, there you are. So just take a step back and see you're not that either. So you keep recognizing what you're not. Yes?
That is what it is about, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, this is about
Fate.
recovery, but then it can go to this where you see how self presents itself over and over again as you, and you just kindly see it or say it. I don't say it, but see it that it's not you. So, yeah, it's so. In other words, when the aperture of the mental conditions going like this and that, it's basically wanting us to leave the sense of the big panoramic and get involved. Yeah, that's its enticement. Yeah, and a lot of us do, and then we get caught with this. But this panoramic view never comes off. It's always locked in. Yeah, no matter how
Yeah.
the other lens is opening or closing. That's something
Yeah.
that isn't verified by experience. It's just known. You have a sense of it. Yeah, that we're much larger than this. Yeah, and if you rest there and you put the money on that square, you'll see it pans out pretty well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
So maybe it's just old behavior to all the time zoom in on a situation, although I know it doesn't work, you know.
yeah.
I know this queen.
The head does that because the head, that's what it does. It doesn't, it has limitations. So it just goes, and
The head just refuses to surrender.
Hmm?
The head just refuses to surrender. It struggles, otherwise it will die.
Well, the thing is, otherwise you'll see it was never born, really. See, it doesn't want to die because that would reveal it was never born. So basically.
The end of the talk. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, Walter. PK's got a question. There we go.
Hey, Paul, how's it going? So I love it, man. You know, the metaphors and the you know, things that you riff on, it's so amazing. Like I know that there's always the part of me that's like you say, there's the yeah, but like I wanted, even if you gave me the answer, I still want to say yeah, but ... something, you know, isn't right. But I just love how, like what Dave was alluding to with the oscillation, I think, and even what Walter was just saying, the selfing is going to constantly keep doing it. But I love what you said about leaning, you know, like leaning into it. To me, wow, that's like such an amazing concept, even though mentally you would say, well, how do you lean? You can understand it, but when you lean your body, you can feel it. But mentally, it's a shift, and it's just so practical and profound. You know, man, I just, you know, I can't thank you enough. I mean, I know the seeming sense of I can't thank the appearance of a separate you, but it's just great, man. I mean, it's just, you know, the stuff that it just reminds me that no matter what I do, yeah, I'm screwed, but at least the realization of that, and then the leaning into this other, it just equips me in a way that it, you know, nothing ever could before, you know? So it's just like, almost like a get out of jail. But then you're still gonna, when, you know, you may keep thinking that you find yourself in jail, but you know, that's what you can keep coming back. You can keep leaning into it. I love how you said it is an activity. It's not a concrete object. It's an ongoing process. I love it, man.
I wanted to get into the habit of leaning that way. So that's what AA does. AA starts, and we're using it on a broader level, but suggestions lead to habits, yeah? And then you're in the habit of leaning that way, yeah?
Yeah, but I want to give you a yeah, but.
It's sort of like you leave one gravitational pull and you enter another gravitational pull, yeah? Yes, and let's say they're both poles, but basically after that, everything is different. Yeah. Yeah. How you feel after being pulled, everything is different, but they're poles. So you're getting pulled into trusting the finite self or pulled into trusting the infinite. But the feeling is quite different. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's mind blowing. I appreciate, you know, I'm just so thankful, you know, to have come upon this, and you and everybody in the squares. You know, it's just, it's so nourishing, you know, to hear from the other, you know, boxes and squares. I just feel like it's like a veritable feast, or feasting. I mean, it's awesome, man. So thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah, but
Thanks a lot. Yeah.
No if and or buts about it.
I'm only looking for one Long Island convert. That's all. Just one.
I think you got him. I think you got him.
Not expecting any from Staten Island, but one from Long Island. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks, BK. Hey, Gary's got his hand up.
Yes, let's go, Gav.
Okay, thank you, PK. That was great. I agree with you. I love how all these squares chime in and help us well, maybe not understand, but see. Anyway, Paul, I wanted to share a little bit. As I'm listening to you, I sort of go over my own history. You know, I started out in the corner. And I remember one of the first things they said to you was like, wow, after listening to you, I feel like I'm painted into the corner. I have no place to move from here. I'm stuck. And you said, great. And so I'm still in the corner. But then sometimes, as PK says, but anyway, the thought comes, oh, now I understand it. Now I can get out of the corner and do it my way. And then that that turns to shit right away. It's like, and so I had this image of it sort of like selfing is like a pile of shit, and these thoughts that come are the flies that are flying around the shit, and they're always going to be attracted back to the shit. It's like you say, you can't turn it into a service animal. These thoughts are always going to go back to the shit. So I don't know. I saw that sort of step-by-step process. At first, I thought I'm going to train these thoughts into better, so they won't fly back to the shit. But they don't. They're not trainable.
No.
They're stuck. They only go back to shit. So I don't know. I'm just grateful for that image. There is no hope in training these thoughts to be better.
Yeah.
They were dyed in the wool, and they're going to do that. Thank
Yes.
you.
Well-
The level of, the onion layers come off, but they're just more layers, and they're not going to get better. So don't try to, as you say, train the service animal into a better thought. Yeah, I'm grateful for that seeing.
Yeah. Well, when we used to do
Thanks,
the
Gary.
inventory on, so you ever see Joe and Charlie printouts from the inventory from,
Yeah.
they would have like self as the top thing. So self is taking its role as the manager of the agenda, which is based on fear. Yeah. You need clothing, shelter, this and that.
Right.
So that's the primary programming that the mental state mutates and does shit with. Yeah. So there's
Okay.
that. And so self manages. It's selfing is it's managing to get what it thinks it wants and not lose whatever. Yes. So,
Okay.
and of course it's a failed system, so it doesn't do it well. So the way you could tell what the self, or let's say you could tell self's presence, like you say, you can tell the shit's presence by seeing the flies. Yeah. You could see the self's presence by having the resentments in one category. Let's say, like, if you were caught in trying to save your face instead of your ass, thinking your face was your ass, yeah? So you would see in the first part resentments around the social instinct, how people are seeing me, my self-esteem, my pride, yes? So there's all the flies, which informs you the shit is there. Yeah, this is how we recognize it's. So the manifestations of self are like the flies in this little example, and the shit is this idea of self or being the doer and all that.
Yes. Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Not recognizing that, but you can start recognizing that by recognizing the flies. And if the flies congregate at a certain point, there's meaning there. The self has a lot of meaning in that area. So the self has a lot of meaning in how people sees itself, let's say, has a lot of meaning of spiritual pride or pride. Yes? So you recognize the tree by its fruits. That's the way we do inventory. Yeah? The statement before you enter the inventory, this is the fact. It says, being convinced self manifests in various ways is what has defeated us. So it says, basically, being convinced shit is what's attracting the flies. Yeah? Most people aren't there when they do the inventory. So the point is, okay, let's do an inventory of the flies so that leads us to the shit. Yes?
Okay.
It's not about the flies, it's about the shit. Yeah. So we tell the truth about the flies. They're not mine. They're the manifestations of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they go together.
Yes. So try to look at the whole situation without the ownership that blinds us to the clear recognition of what we are and what we're not. So that you finally see that self is not us. Us is something completely different than self. In that one sentence, the whole divide that is very healthy is presented. It's offered. It says, being convinced that self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Completely two different aspects. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the us is really the trusting the infinite. Yeah. And the self obviously is trusting the finite. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, bro. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All
Yeah,
right,
it's a
Paul.
system.
All right, Paul. We're getting it's 11:45. You wanna? I don't have any. I don't think there are any more hands. Let's see.
Yeah. Remember, we're not going to have any more talks for a few weeks.
Yes, that's right.
Uh,
Paul's not going to be here.
Go to the website every once in a while, and we're going to post some up because hopefully we'll be in Italy tomorrow, Friday. And yeah,
Good deal.
no one wants me there to have a regimented schedule. So we're going to we'll pick a day or two and I'll show up because I like doing it myself. So yeah.
Very good.
All right. So
All
yeah.
right.
Go on to so tonight we have one at 4:30 Pacific time. We have a non-duality talk. Wednesday night we have the non-duality talk at 7 Pacific time, and then from that day after that we start up again September 16th.
Okay.
And if anything changes, it will be put on the Zen Bitch Slap website.
Yeah, just go to the website, right?
Yeah.
Zenbitchslap.com.
Check it out. It'll let you know, because if I go into quarantine, I'll do a lot of Zooms.
Yeah.
Have a Zoom retreat if I have to stay somewhere for 10 days. Might as well let myself be useful. So, all right. Hey, let me say hello to everyone. Roman, nice to see you there. Roman, yes, nice to see you, Roman. I'm going to be close by. I'll be in Italy soon, Pescara. All right, we got Mike. Mike, I'll see you. I'll see you maybe later, but I'll see you tomorrow for sure. We got Joseph in France. Nice to see you, Joseph. Walter in Amsterdam. Nice to see you, Walter. Get in touch with me. WhatsApp will work, or email me and then tell me WhatsApp. Yeah. We got Stefan on Having Never Left. Gary, the man in the corner. Hey, that's a great position to be in, really. We got PK roaming around Long Island City. Thank you, PK. Always appreciate your shares, and Gary's also. Very good. Everyone's today. Walter, everybody. We got Mickey. I'll miss you, Mickey, for a little while. I'll see you soon. We got Tanya. Tanya's cooking well. Yeah, there she goes. She's on fire. Yeah. Leah. Nice to see you, Leah. Yes. Yep. We got Dale. Dale, hopefully when I come back, you'll have finished that, whatever you're knitting. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Ruby Rose from Kansas. Nice to see you, from Wichita. Nice to see you, Ruby. We've got Terry from Maine. Nice to see you, Terry. We got Kim from Southern Cal. Yes. We got Nina, not Mina or Tina, but Nina. Always nice to see you, Mina. Nice to see you. Yeah. Rich, nice to see you, my friend. Rich A. Nan, formerly known as Nanette. There she is. Jessie from Ireland. Nice to see you, Jess. We got Jason from San Diego. Nice to see you. Carl. I think Carl's in Ireland, isn't he? Yes, there he is. I thought so. How could I have thought anything else? Yeah. We got Kaiser. Kaiser. Nice to see you, my friend. Hi. Something grew on your lip there. We got Gary. We got Gustav. We got Anna is connected. Anna F, I think. Who's that? Yeah, I think so.
Anna R. Anna R.
Oh, Anna R. Nice to see you, or not see you, but nice anyway. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Paul.
Oh, Kerry, Kerry, I didn't see these folks. Hold on. We got Kurt. Thanks for running the show, Kurt. Very good. Kerry, as always. Tommy from Ireland. Paul from the UK. Connor from Dublin. We got Tom. I think he's the UK also. Yes, yeah. We got David. I don't know where David is. He's floating around somewhere.
Where you at, David? Here, let me, I'll unmute. Go ahead.
Hey, yeah, I'm from Ferndale, Michigan, about a half mile outside of Detroit.
Oh, nice to see you. All right, brother.
Good deal.
We got Alex, nice to see Alex, and thank you for all the donations. Jacob, as always, very nice. I'll see you guys. We'll have something happen in the next few weeks for sure. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Paul.
Travel safe, Paul. Travel safe.
I have to be in a closet. There'll be a lot of Italian going on, and yeah. All right.
That's great.
I'll see you. See you guys, everyone. So I'll see you today. I'll see you today at 4:30. 4:30 Pacific time. It's on the website. Bye.
Hi, Paul.